let's talk about how to find more corporate bookings.
Mhm.
So what we're going to cover, we're going to go over three big things here today. The first one, I want to talk about defining your target guest. We're going to talk about having a page for corporate. And then finally, we're going to look at 8 different ways to start some of those conversations. So on this first one, this idea, we are always going to push this. Every town hall you probably show up to, we're going to start with this idea of who are you talking to? Who is the person on the other side? That too many times we try to speak to everyone and we try to say everyone can take our tour. And especially for corporate, we say any business can take our tour. But I really want you to narrow this down and figure out it's not a business you're going after. You're not standing outside with a boom box like John Cusack and say anything, trying to talk to this whole business. There's a person inside of that business. And so I want you to go through and narrow down who's the person inside the business that I really need to reach out to, and let's understand what that person is. And when you look at what they need, that's where I don't want you to overcomplicate the sale. And what I mean by that is the person at the corporation has a problem. They can't get their team together. You have a solution to that problem. They're going to pay you for that solution. This is the process. Try not to overcomplicate this too much. That when it's your baby, when it's your tour, there's so many amazing things to talk about. There's all these great features. I do it all the time on UpLevel. Is I just overtalk all the stuff that UpLevel can do when I just need to hit on here's the problems you're having and here's how we can help. And so as you look to have those conversations, again, it's real simple. They just want to be able to get their team together in a lot of these situations. You say, yes, we can help you get your team together. That's what we want to do. And one of the reasons we need to narrow this down to one person is so we understand what to talk about. And one of the things we look at is this idea of levels of awareness of how much does this person actually know about the problem. So if the problem is that they have a hard time getting their team together, how much do they know about that problem? And depending on what they know, we put them somewhere on this chart. And then generally, this blue area kind of tells us what we want to do once they know about that problem. And it also helps us understand what we even want to talk about that they're going to be able to understand, which this whole chart kind of makes sense if you look at it. If we go in the top left, that the person doesn't even know, isn't even aware of the problem you solved for them, they don't care about product and pricing. And so it's about aligning these things and knowing what to say. And this is why when you try to talk to everyone, you're not going to be aligned. But when you can focus it down to that one person, you're going to get in a good spot. And for a lot of the tours, it feels like you're right in this area. You're right in this pain, problem aware, and solution aware area, that they know there's solutions to get their team together, but they don't really know what to do about it. They don't really know which one to use. And so that's some of the challenge you're looking to get over with that. Any questions on this so far? All right, good. We got more. Okay, so on this other idea of having a page for corporate groups, this is where we want to keep that conversation aligned. That I want to be able to talk to you about corporate groups. I don't want to say, hey, Corey, we have a great solution for your company. You have 100 people. That's fantastic. We can help you. And then you just have a page that says private tours on the left. And it looks like they're just getting a receipt popping up with numbers on it and a button to hit. On the right is a page we've done for Chicago Pizza Tours. It starts the conversation. And this is one of the big changes that's happened to websites, is that for a long time, websites were a digital store. Come in, shop around. It's a store. But now what we're finding is the highest converting websites are ones that treat the website more like a digital salesperson instead of a digital store. And so it's actually having a conversation with them. It's talking to them when they arrive there instead of just giving them a sheet and saying, pick what you want. And you can see that a little bit between these two examples, that again, on the right-hand side, we're talking about immediately letting them know, hey, you're in the right place. Yes, this is for corporate groups. We answer some of their questions right away. Very important as well. What do they need to know? They need to know how big. They need to know what we're providing. Let's answer some of those things. And one of the small changes we made here with Chicago Pizza Tours, with his new site on the right versus his old site on the left, is that we changed it to a button that said check availability. And just, we're anxious to test this to see what it does in the mind of the consumer when they have to think, oh, is it not available? Like, oh, is this a little more exclusive? All of a sudden, the perceived value starts to go up. And that's one of the ways that I want you guys to think about this as well, is that it's more than just taking them out and showing up the stops. You have incredible value with what you do, with what you provide. And if you were to throw the word team building on there, oh, it's like slapping the word wedding in front of something. You get to charge double for no reason just because it says team building. It's crazy. So it's all about the value and how you sell it. So I'd really want you to look at having a page specifically for corporate groups you can send them to. And now we're going to jump in to the 8 ways to start conversations with more groups. And as I started putting this list together, I got carried away. I went too far on the design. I'm sorry, everyone, but I made it look like a Family Feud board. I couldn't help it. I wanted to put it all out there. And then I thought maybe we can make a game out of it, but there's no way to make a game out of it. So we're going to run through the 8 of these, but I may call on some of you as we go through to hear about some of your experience with this. So if you know something about one of these, please just raise a little hand if you're already using this method as we go. So first one, concierges and event planners at hotels. Who's doing this? Is anyone already reaching out to concierge and event planners? Erwin, a little bit. You want to talk about it? What are you doing?
Well, hotels here don't really have concierges, but just public relations people at hotels. But I find it, I tried a few times, but I find it difficult because sometimes they tend to change. I find these are job positions that people move around in quite a lot. And so in a few hotels it works, but I found it quite time consuming to really keep it up with a good handful of hotels to really keep those relationships going. But I've given it a go, and I've just like 2 or 3 hotels where it actually works.
Okay, interesting. So kind of narrowed it down and really fostering those relationships, the 2 or 3 that you're getting results from.
Yes.
Okay.
Or at least I was getting results for them before this whole COVID stuff. We'll see. We'll see if it picks back up, but it should probably. Hopefully.
Yep. All right. Let's keep going. And at number 7, looking up the Fortune 500s and the Fortune 100s in your city. Let's find some of those bigger companies. And those are the ones we want to start to target, because we know that if we can get in with one person, we're more likely to have them refer us to different divisions inside of there. So let's not spend time necessarily. If we're going to pick that one target guest to go after, maybe it is someone at one of those Fortune 500s in your area, because we know that that's going to be the easier referral, bigger lifetime value, hopefully larger average order value. And maybe you can even talk them into sending out groups regularly with you by setting something up that way. So dig into them, look them up. Another one we put down here was hosting a webinar. And now I have not seen many tours take this approach, but I'd love to know when you do. But it's the idea of hosting a webinar that provides value to that target guest of yours. So again, once we define who that person is, if it is Melissa, who's the head of HR and she's 38 years old working in an organization, let's put her in Sacramento, what would she want to attend? What can you put on that she would say, that sounds really interesting, I'd go to that? Is it here's a webinar that we're talking about the best 10 things to do in Sacramento, or the best 10 corporate events inside of Sacramento? Is she willing to attend a webinar like that to come speak to you and understand a little more? And it doesn't have to be an hour. Make it 25 minutes, make it a short thing of something she can just fit in to learn a little more. But the idea here is let's lower that barrier to entry so it's not so hard for her to get in the door to start learning more about you and what you offer on the webinar. Last one in this column, coming in at number 5, event planners and executive assistants through LinkedIn. So as you're targeting that person a little more, here are a couple titles that you can probably start to look after. So definitely event planners. And a little trick here on LinkedIn is going to the company page. So if you find some of those Fortune 500s, go to the company page and look at their list of people inside of LinkedIn. And from there, you can see everyone who works there, and then use that as an opportunity to pick out someone to start going after. In an ideal world, maybe you have someone in common with someone who already works there, and you can reach out to that person and ask for an introduction. But the thing here as well is that it's worth it to spend a little more time going through LinkedIn and going this route, because we do have that larger ticket purchase. They're buying in bulk. We're going to sell a bigger thing. So it's worth it to spend a little more time to try and win that person for that higher average order value. Any questions on these 4 so far? All right. Who's gone the
Yes.
LinkedIn approach so far? Heather, what's your experience been on the LinkedIn side?
My experience is it's incredibly time consuming to drill down and find the right people to contact. Number one, I'm doing the free trial right now of the like higher paid, lead uh, version on LinkedIn, where you can actually message people directly. Because if you have the free version, you often can't do that unless you're connected. So and I've looked up the major corporations in Sacramento as well, and it's just very hard to know. People's job titles are really funny in corporations, right? Sometimes, you know, you know, their title might not necessarily, be the person you want to reach, and it's not always an HR person. A lot of my corporate bookings, are actually like the leader of a team that's maybe a program manager or a salesperson or something like that. So and I created a one sheet. Actually, you guys helped me. You actually edited that and helped to design and improved it. And so I reach out to people on LinkedIn, and then I attach my that one sheet, and then my link to my website. I haven't really gotten any responses, but I can see people looking at my profile from that. But it's in the really, really early stages as well. So
Yeah. And what I like is even just some of that outreach, it may not be an immediate feedback. They may not book with you right away, but I
yeah,
feel like everyone in this room, what you do is so unique that we just need someone to know what you do. And that's almost enough. Like I don't even need to sell them on taking a Bienville Bites tour. They're going to know enough of, oh, this sounds cool. And you do corporate events. I'm in. Let me find out the details.
yeah, and that kind of stuff too, I really look at as just part of the whole brand recognition thing, that same person then might see something on Facebook, or so it's kind of hitting them from any possible angle if they have heard the name Sacktown Bites 5 or 6 or 7 times, so in different
Yep.
places.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep going. We got a few more here. Number 4, blogs on LinkedIn. So going back to this LinkedIn for this corporate side of it and trying to figure out how do we get people to interact. So we talked about kind of reaching out to them directly, as Heather was just mentioning. That one is a little time consuming. We can look at kind of hosting that webinar, but the blogs on LinkedIn are kind of an easy one. And one of the things we've seen is some tours shy away from creating blogs like the top 10 best things to do in my city, because so many of those blogs already exist in the search engine. For this, however, I don't care that they exist in the search engine. If I can just get your blog about the top 10 things to do in your city in front of someone's face on LinkedIn, they're going to be more likely to click on it there. They're going to be more likely to share it there. So if you don't have a blog about the top 10 things for corporate groups to do, look at writing that blog and start getting that up on LinkedIn. Start sharing that as a resource that people can then start passing around and commenting on. They just need to know your article. We don't always need you to rank in Google for some of that content. Does that one make sense? That one is a little bigger. Erwin, yeah. Heather, yeah. Okay, great, fantastic. Next one, destination management companies. Is anyone using a DMC so far to speak to this inside the room? So this one's real big. Heather, again, anyone else? Otherwise, we'll come back. All right, Heather. Heather, tell us about DMCs. What have you found on that side?
You're talking about, sorry, are you talking about visitor bureau, or are you talking about inbound travel agents?
Oh, a little bit. I think we've grouped both of those into the DMO, DMC category here.
Okay. Yeah, I made connections with our visitor bureau and did a presentation for them and put basically a slideshow, not a slideshow, I'm blanking on the word, but did a presentation for them, and that was great because they didn't really know about me or what I do, and need lots of help entertaining people from out of town on fam tours and various things. And then I've started connecting to travel agents that bring tours to California, and they're starting to bring people to Sacramento. So I'm working with a couple. I've actually already got some slotted in for 2023. it's kind of late for 2022 for much happening there because they plan so far ahead. So they're those are fewer and farther between. I think the relationship with the Visitors Bureau is actually going to be some really nice bread and butter for me, though.
Okay, that's awesome. Chris, I'm gonna have you come off mute here and chat with me here. Because I feel like multiple of the events that you and I have been at together have talked about like the DMOs, talking with the DMCs. Is this something you found trouble with getting into? Have you chosen not to do this? What's been your experience on this side?
Yeah, going back to what Heather says, that I've definitely had a benefit to being friends with everybody in the Visitors Bureau. Just going to as many events as they have. Just even little things like connecting with them on LinkedIn, just liking their statuses, over and over again, so that you also kind of get in their algorithm and just, it's just commenting on their statuses, things like that on Facebook. That way, like I said, you're just you're always in the back of their mind a little bit. And so when they are hosting people in town, a lot of times, yeah, they're calling me to host their guests that they have in town. So, and then those guests will either go write an article about us or, spread the word. So anyway, I've had a very big benefit from visitors bureaus, but not so much on the travel agent side.
Okay, interesting. That may be something we need to dig into more in the future. All right, so DMC is all right. Two left on this family. I feel like I needed a Family Feud like sound. Sean, if we ever do this again, can you get like some Family Feud sound effects or something for me, please?
I may know someone who can handle that. Yeah.
All right, number 2, getting listed on top 10s. Do that search that target guest would run, of they're saying, what are the best things to do in my city? What are the best things to do for corporate in my city? Look at some of those results that are coming up on Google and reach out to them. Let's not try to beat them. Like, we don't need to write our own article about the top 10 things for corporate groups to do in your city. Let's just go find out who already wrote that article and reach out and say, hey, can we get listed here? Which some of those people have figured out just how valuable that space is, and they're going to charge you just to be listed in their blog article, which sounds absolutely insane to think that I'm going to pay some random person to be listed in their blog article. But if it generates a return on investment, it's going to be worth it. And so that's just a matter of understanding how much did they ask for, how many people do you expect to get from that, and what is going to be that return from being listed in their top 10. Has anyone done anything like that yet? Heather, beautiful.
Okay,
right.
no, I haven't done that, but it just made me think of there's not 10 things to do in Sacramento, actually, for starters, but I'm just kidding. If anybody's from here, I'm sorry. No, but there's a blogger that I'm gonna start working with who happens to be from Sacramento, but she travels the world and she has a pretty big following. And I'm going to experiment with it, but I have Fair Harbor as my booking software, and I'm going to give her basically a book now affiliate link button so that when she writes about me, so I'm not going to pay her, but if she gets bookings through her website, I'm going to give her a percentage.
So affiliate marketing angle for her, huh?
Yeah. Did I steal number one? Did I win a prize?
You did not steal number 1. I left a real blatant one for number 1 as well. Any guesses as to what we think number 1 might be? Erwin, I haven't heard from you in a little bit. Any guesses? Anything you feel was left off this list?
I'm not sure. It's I don't know.
All right.
Personal network clubs, like BNIs and
personal
stuff
networking.
like that. Yeah.
All right, that's not on here. That didn't make the top 8, but I like that one.
What did he say?
That works really well for me. So
networking and going to networking groups and some of those BNI groups and stuff like that.
I'm gonna say hitting up your past guests that came as civilians to then go back and book a corporate tour.
Ooh, past guests. All right, that's one. Corey, what are you thinking? What do you think is left here?
I was just actually sending you a chat thing. So I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know.
All right, Yoko, any guesses on your side?
I think I was thinking the same with Heather, that, once you get good clients, they're gonna come back and bring other clients too. So I would always follow up with some, but I don't know.
All right, that's a good guess. Chris, what do you got? What do you got as your guess for the number one spot on Family Feud here? I feel like I should have you turn sideways.
Yeah, I thought it was email also. Email, whether that's past guest or whether you have an email list of corporate tours that have taken your tour in the past.
Oh, past groups it is.
Mm-hmm.
That was exactly it. Reaching back out, talking to people who have been there, keeping on that mailing list, following up with them, maintaining those relationships. That should be the one that helps go. And again, when we look at that person we're targeting, that ideal target guest, they should know other corporations. They should be able to recommend different divisions. They should probably be a part of those networking groups to then even say to those networking groups, hey, we did this really awesome experience with our group. You should check it out too. So always nurturing those past groups. There's such a big, big opportunity that's just sitting there. So moving up, we went through 3 things. So we talked about defining your target guests. We talked about making sure you have that page for corporate in the conversations. And then we talked about some of that outreach of these different ways to actually get some of those conversations started.